I don't like this. Let me fix this. Sorry. Hello. Oh my gosh. I haven't done this in quite some time. Okay. All right. Hello again, everyone. It is me. I'm back with another video. Um, so, what I'm here to talk about today is um, first, before I get into my topic, just want to talk about end of the year stuff. So as we know, we have like 2 weeks left of the year. Actually, like 1 week, a week and like 3 days, I think, something like that. Um, so yeah, the end of the year is approaching fast. So my plan is to get sort of like a reflection video up, just for the end of 2016. That's going to be more for me than it is for anything, but if you'd like to watch it, go ahead. Um, but yeah, I will be doing that. And I also will be planning on doing 2 videos on my top 10 albums of 2016. I might do one more, I'm not sure, um, but we will see. But yeah, I will be doing my top 10 albums of 2016 just like I did last year for um, those will be up next week because I just need to listen to the albums again. I already have my top 10 and I already have them in order. I just need to listen to them again just so that they're fresh. Um, so, yeah. So just expect a lot of videos from me for the next week. Yeah. As for how I've been, I got a job after the Dancing with the Stars season ended. Another job. So I've been working 2 jobs again, and yeah, I've just been balancing that and trying to get everything ready for school to start because I'm going back to school and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, that's not what I came here to talk about though. What I came here to talk about today was something that's been on my mind for a little bit. It's about Dancing with the Stars. And I probably should have done it right after the season ended, but I just really needed to sit with my thoughts for a little bit and really just let them form and just grow and make sense of them. So, what I'm here to talk about is just sort of the evolution of Dancing with the Stars. And as in, this might be a series, I'm not sure, but I think right now I'm going to talk about the scoring more than anything. So, back in season 1 of Dancing with the Stars. Now, it was the first season, so nobody really knew what to do. This was 11 years ago, first season. The judges weren't really sure how to score things. The pros weren't really sure how to teach exactly. The celebrities didn't know what they were getting themselves into. So it was the first show of its kind. So really, it was just like a trial run, a test run, and nobody really knew what they were doing. So over the 6 week season, we had 6 couples, and at the end, we ended with 1 perfect score and 3 10s, which was Kelly Monaco's freestyle. At the time, rightfully deserved because it at that time it was the dance of the season, um, you know, and she really earned that score. And it was great that that was the only perfect score that season because that was, in my opinion and in many other people's opinions, that was the best dance of that season, which ultimately helped to give her the win. We're not going to talk about the recount and everything because that was a lot of baloney. Then season 2 came along, and we had 2 people getting perfect scores, Drew Lachey and Stacy Keibler. Drew, I believe, got 3. Stacy got 4. And then they would get 10s here and there, but they didn't get 10s all the time. The first set of 10s were given out on week 2 for Stacy's rumba, but again, it was the second season, and still the rumba was gorgeous, and it was like the judges had never seen anything as amazing as that before, by a celebrity. So you go on season 3, you move on, you get more people. You have 3 people get a perfect score. You have 4 people get tens. Season 4, you have 4 people get perfect scores. Um, and it all was very relative to how people were dancing. The perfect scores didn't start coming until about week 7, week 8 into the competition. Tens you start seeing around week 5, week 6. Sometimes as early as week 4. Um, and it made sense every now and then, like season 5 and season 8, you'd see a perfect score in week 4. And it was necessary and earned, rightfully earned, because the dance was just amazing with Sabrina Bryan's Paso Doble in season 5 and Gil Marini's Argentine Tango in season 8. So, you watch the dances as the season goes, and you're like, okay, I understand why this is a perfect score. You didn't really see anything that was just like, why? Um, that didn't really start happening until I would say probably season 15, the All Star season. Because even back during season 14, like I didn't care for Maria Menounos' dances at all, but I could make a case for why she got a perfect score for that Paso Doble. The judges weren't always infallible, so there's always times when they gave out a perfect score that was just like, they shouldn't have given that out. But it was maybe like once or twice a season that happened. It was just like excitement. But season 15, that changed a lot. And they just started giving people just perfect scores randomly. Now, or not perfect scores, tens. They started throwing out tens randomly. Now, during season 15, they still were a little stingy with the perfect scores, especially Lynn. Then we get back into season 16 and they pulled back a little bit, and made sure that the stars really earned it. And the people who got perfect scores were the top 4, and it made sense for them to get perfect scores. We get to season 17, and I think that was when we started to see the real big change in scores. We start seeing people just get tens out of nowhere and get perfect scores out of nowhere, and it's because you start seeing the agenda start to play out. And you start seeing the producers really put their hand into the show and try and get the result that they want to see. And you see this, and you saw it with Elizabeth, Elizabeth Berkley, in some of her dances, just randomly out of the blue getting tens. You saw it with, I think, who was it? Mostly with her, honestly. She was the person, the reason you saw it more with her was because I think they got scared when Christina Milian got kicked off. And then when other people started getting kicked off, they got scared and they wanted to protect their good dancers. Of course, they didn't really care about that before. The show just played out. Of course, they cared about it a little bit, but the show played out, and wherever the cards fell is where they fell, and that's how it happened. But as the shows progressed during seasons, you start seeing these, you start seeing where people are trying to protect certain people. You saw that with Christina Milian, where it seemed like they tried to protect her from getting eliminated. I think they did that with Brant because season 17 was such a wacky season in terms of eliminations. I think that might be why they decided to change the elimination style that they did, because it was slightly different during season 17 than it has been since then, because that's when they started the one show a week thing, and they based it off of the previous week's scores and only the previous week's scores, I believe, and so the current scores had nothing to do with it. I can't remember exactly, but it made the eliminations out to be extremely wacky, and you ended up with Amber and Corbin in the finals, which everybody expected. Jack kind of coming out of nowhere, which everyone expected, but then you ended up with Bill Engvall in the finals along with them, which, if you really think about it, it makes sense. But at the time, it just seemed really wacky. So then you start seeing season 18, you start seeing people just giving tens just to kind of start saving them early. So you start seeing Meryl Davis with the tens early out the gate. You start seeing Danica getting tens just straight out the gate, while you see people who seemingly are getting a lot of votes get pulled back some. So you see Amy kind of get pushed back, and Charlie gets some pushback. And then season 19, you see like Bethany gets some pushback. You see Sadie get some pushback. You didn't really see anything with Alfonso, because Alfonso was going to win the season regardless. But then you see Janelle start or get propped up and get the tens out of nowhere. And then you start seeing you give her tens, and then you can't not give somebody else who had a better dance than her. You can't give them non-tens, because then it just looks foolish. I remember the Janelle's jazz that she did, and she got a perfect score for it in week 3, and I was like, that wasn't a perfect score worthy dance. It was a decent dance, but it wasn't perfect score worthy. And then you have Bethany come out with Derek and do their jazz, which was much better than Janelle's. Again, but I didn't think it was perfect score worthy at the time. But you kind of had to give Bethany a perfect score as well, because if you give her anything less than that, you would look foolish. Season 20 came along, you started seeing that more and more, season 21. And then you start getting to season 21, season 22, season 23, where you start seeing before you would only see and I did some research on this, so you would see 47 tens a season, 50 tens a season, at the most a season where it was a talented season, you would see 60 tens. Seasons 21, 22, and 23, and not quite 20, but 21, 22, and 23, you would see it was 79 tens a season, 84 tens a season, 86 tens a season, which is ridiculous. And then you start seeing it starts going from 1 perfect score to 6 perfect scores to 20 perfect scores a season to not 20. That's the weird 20 perfect scores a season versus the kind of 12 to 15 that we're averaging per season. You start getting up in season, and you up through the seasons, and then you start seeing 25 perfect scores, and even this season there was one night, it was semifinals, where there was, what was it, 6 or 7, it was 7 perfect scores given out in one night, 7 perfect scores, and it's that was never a thing. And even in seasons, it was very rare when you would see people get a perfect 60, 2 perfect scores in a night, or a perfect 80. You would rarely ever see anybody get a perfect 90 during the finals week. The first time we saw that happen was Christy Yamaguchi, and it didn't happen again until season 14. And to me, it's just it takes a lot of the fun out of the show, because you start seeing people, you don't see growth. You don't see growth because people are just getting praised for doing a bunch of mediocre dancing, and people aren't growing, and people are kind of staying the same. As we saw with Lori this season, she kind of plateaued very early on. And after her one dance that I felt was her best dance of the season, she kind of plateaued and stayed there for the rest of the season, and it actually regressed a bit. You start seeing this, and then you see the people who the judges nitpick, you see them grow, and you see them give these amazing dances, and they still nitpick at them, and they keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. But then you see the people that they keep praising and keep, not saying anything to, and being like, oh, that was amazing, or whatever. It was cool, even though you had like a stumble here and your footwork was messy over there, and you could have danced a much harder dance, but we'll give you a perfect score for this because it was, it was amazing. We're not going to call you out for anything. And you start seeing that, and it starts making you feel, it starts making the show just feel so much harder to watch. It's harder to watch because you don't see as much growth as you used to. My favorite season, season 8, there was so much growth that I saw from Sean Johnson, from Jill Marini, from Melissa Rycroft, from Lil Kim, from Chuck Wicks, and from Ty Murray. There was so much growth that I saw from all those people, from when they first started to when they ended, and each of them were eliminated, or when Sean won. There was growth in all of them, and it wasn't just a tiny bit of growth, and it wasn't like they grew and then they plateaued. They all were growing the entire season. And even season 10, you had Nicole Scherzinger, you had Evan Lysacek, you had Aaron Andrews, you had Chad Ochocinco, you had Niecy Nash, you had Pamela Anderson, all who grew leaps and bounds over the course of the season. And you would see that. You would see like Layla Ali, you'd see Drew Lachey, you'd see Apollo, Anton Ono, you'd see Joey Fatone, you'd see Stacy Keibler, all these people who went from week 1 to the finals. You'd see all of them grow leaps and bounds. They were already good to start, but they grew to be even better. They were much better than when they started. And then we start coming back to like season 15, not as season 15 as much, but season 16 and 17, you start seeing people, and not even season 17, because again, I already said that was like an outlier season where things just were funky anyway. But you would see like Meryl Davis, great to start with, but she didn't improve at all, honestly. Great to start, but she didn't improve at all. And she won. Great dancer, no improvement from her. You'd see Janelle, again, no improvement over the entirety of the season. You'd see like Nick Carter, no improvement over the season. A tiny bit of improvement, I'll give him that. He did improve a little bit, but again, it wasn't as much as he could have. You'd see like Antonio Brown, no improvement. You'd see just so many people. Who else? Niall DeMarco, season 22 winner. He was good to start with, but he plateaued week 5 and didn't really grow from there. And while he did have his challenges, I do think he had a little bit more to give. Lori Hernandez started out great. About week 6, she hit her plateau and even regressed from that plateau and didn't really grow from then. And you see this a lot nowadays on the show. You see dancers who don't win grow leaps and bounds. And it's just very odd to see. Like, you watch, if you were to watch Meryl's, her foxtrot or whatever that was, and then watch her week 11 Argentine tango with Max, or no, her fusion with Max, because that foxtrot, that week 3 foxtrot, was very light on foxtrot. You look at both of those dances, and she didn't really grow that much between that time. But then you look at Charlie's, you look at his tango, which was great, but then you go and you look at his quick step, and then you look at his foxtrot. You see the growth. You see the growth in confidence. You see the growth in his dance vocabulary. You see all of that growth. You look at Amy's first cha-cha and you see, wow, she's good, but she has a lot of raw talent. And then you see her grow and you see about week 5, week 6, her jive, and you see where she was at. And then you come and you see her Argentine tango and you see her jazz and you see all this stuff where she's really killing it. And you see all that. And you're like, wow, but then you see someone like Meryl who wins the season, but you don't really see an arc, and it makes it frustrating. Same with Lori, you see very little arc from her, growth arc, but then you look at James, who went from, you know, again, good, but a lot of raw talent that needed to be harnessed. You look at Calvin, who grew a ton. Even, what's her face, Jana, I didn't care for her, but you look at her, and she didn't grow as much as she could have, but she did grow because the judges were hard on her up until about week 6, when they started saying, okay, well, you know, you're cool now. And she kind of had a standstill and then grew a little bit from there. But you see that, and then you see Lori, who kind of had this little thing, and she had this bump, and then she was like here. Well, no, it was more like here. She had this, and she had this bump up. It was like, this is where I wanted her to be. But then she came back down just a little bit and stayed right there for the rest of the season. You know, and you see that, again, Wanye, Paige had huge growths, but you didn't see it from Ginger, you didn't see it from Antonio, you didn't see it as much from Niall. Even though he did grow, he didn't grow as much as he could have, and again, a lot of that probably has to do with his, being deaf. But still, I do feel like he could have grown more than the judges were allowing him to. So, you know, that's just kind of it. This isn't really a rant. It's more of just a concern I have with the show and an observation I've been making and kind of just really thinking about the way the show is headed and just really feeling just feeling like some of this the viewers are being cheated out of watching potentially great dances. The celebs are being cheated out of becoming the best dancers that they can be. The pros are being cheated out of really challenging themselves. And, you know, at this point, I'm not sure that some of these pros even care to challenge themselves. They just want to win at this point. But you still see some pros that really are challenging themselves and love to make themselves better, because you're seeing it with Lindsay now. You're starting to see it again with Sharna, which is good. But you don't see that as much as you used to. You just see people wanting to win, but you don't see the love of it, just kind of the art and the love and all of that stuff. You don't really see it as much. And, you know, again, it makes the show harder to watch because, again, being a huge fan of the show since season 1, I've seen these changes. I've seen how things have changed a ton. I've seen how lenient the judges have become, especially Lynn. I've seen how non-picky they've become, because there have been times when I've turned the show off, or not turned it off, but after the performance show is done, there have been times that I've been upset with the judges for not giving a perfect score to a certain contestant. I was mad at them for not giving Melissa a perfect score for her Argentine tango in season 8. I was mad at them for not giving Sean a perfect score for her Paso Doble in season 8. I was mad at them for taking points off of Nicole's quick step in season 10. I did understand why they did it, but I was mad at them for that. You know, it was things like that. And now I'm getting mad at them because they're giving out too many perfect scores. It's like, you know, it's not like I ever wanted them to give out too many perfect scores. I just wanted them to, you know, not be as, and it was mostly Linda I'd be mad at, but sometimes Carrie Ann would kind of throw a wrench in. I would just want them to really like, I was just like, I'm so mad that they're not appreciating this dance the way it should be appreciated. But now it's like, oh, okay, well, perfect score because we don't care about this job and we don't want to do any work. We're just here and we'll just leave it up to the viewers and whatever. And it just makes it, again, it just makes it so hard to watch. This video wasn't supposed to be this long, but you know, I really got into it. And you know, I think I needed to talk about it. I am going to write a blog to post on it just to kind of go deeper into my feelings and really kind of analyze it and things. But this was kind of just for me to kind of talk through my feelings about it and just, you know, think about it and put my thoughts together and make them slightly more cohesive than they were. But yeah, that's it. Again, as I said earlier, I'll be back with some more videos this week. But until then, you know, if you watch this, let me know about your feelings because I'd be really interested to know how you feel. I'd like to know from people who just started watching within the past few seasons. I'd like to hear from people who kind of started watching, you know, 5 years into it. And I would like to hear from, you know, day one or like season 2 fans, you know, people who've been watching from the beginning. I'd like to hear from everyone because I know there's a lot of different ways that you can look at this, and depending on when you started watching the show, it's going to influence how you feel about the scoring in general. Because for a lot of people who started watching the show just now, you know, the scoring just seems like that's how you score, you know. But for a lot of people who've been watching for years, you know, we see kind of the evolution of it. So I just would like to hear, you know, different perspectives and just to see, you know, how others feel about it. So yeah, that's it. This video again was kind of long. I don't expect you to watch it all, but until next time, I will talk to y'all later. Bye.